guys, Ramblin Bob here again with another new product. This is from Oupes or Oopsies or Oops, I did it again. This is a Guardian 6000. So this is a monster power station. It has both portability with the wheels here and the handle, as well as home backup system. So let's see and check out and see the new options that this thing has, and see if it's a fail or something really good that we can look forward to. Now this is a debut. This is only the first look. So it says launch day sale here. Ends in 29 days, 17 hours, 49 minutes, and 52 seconds. And 52. See, I told you. Okay, so guys, let's take a look and see what it has here. Let's look at the pictures first. I'm excited to see the pictures first, guys. And when I first see a system, boy, there's just a tax credit here. There it is. Okay, so when I first see a system, the looks are very important because, well, you're going to stare at it all the time. And if you spend a lot of money, like this is a couple, almost a couple $1,000, you want it to make it, look nice and stuff like that. It's like a car. If you got a bad rim on your car, it looks bad. So you always try to get a system that looks nice. But functionality is the number one thing you look for. But looks help. Okay, guys, so here it is, a pretty clean screen. It looks like a traditional Oupes style. We have the Mega 2. It's very similar to that, I believe. But this one has a lot more outputs here, and I believe that these are 240 volt outputs. So they have different ports here. They got 1, 2, 3. I think these are. Is that different than that one? Or we'll have to wait and get to the specs here, guys. It looks like we got some different ports there. So it might be some home port hookups or some RB ports, and that's positive. And then these look like the USBs kind of hidden in here. Power, and then this is probably the cigarette lighter, I'm assuming. But until we get a better picture, or down in the specs here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this looks like the power button for probably the. Oh no, here's the DC power button. Oh, this is the Internet of Things. Okay, guys, this is for the Wi-Fi. That's actually a term. I didn't know what that meant about a year ago. It stands for the Internet of Things. So that's how you do the Wi-Fi connection. I had a strange terminology. I've been in computers for 40 years, and the Internet of Things I never knew about till about last year. But okay, so you have quick charge 3.0s here. It looks like I'm going to guess on all this stuff. We're going to go down to specs and see what we really have. 3.0, that's about 18 watts here. Power delivery, that's probably 100 watts, I'm assuming, because I can't see it. Whoop, it just shrunk, guys. We just lost a picture. Oh, crap. So there it is again. Okay, so another quick charge 3.0. These are USB A's, and then there's a C. Now, this button is a selector switch that probably goes from, let's see, I can't read it, guys. I have to wait. And then this looks like possibly a little screen. Well, these pictures are hard to see, and it's tough because the system is all black, so it's very hard to see the ports because they kind of blend in real nice. Obviously, you get a 30% tax credit, so they're highlighting that. Every other picture, guys, is a 30% tax credit. Now, here's the batteries. These are the new, I think the G batteries, I think they're called. I think they're like 4,600 and some watt hours each, and that's how much is in this system too. So these are not 5,000 watt hours; they're 4,600 watt hours each. And then there's your connection cables. One thing I like to see, guys, right away off looking at the system, we have the Mega 2, and we don't have the batteries yet. We'd like to get 4 batteries for it, but one thing, I'll be honest, that turns me off right away is these cables. I don't like when cables stick out like that. Other companies have very, very sleek right-angle cables, and I love them because these cables can get in the way. This probably sticks out probably 10 to 12 inches, I'm guessing, because that's what ours does on other systems. And they're not bendable, you know what I mean? Because they have to be very strong because they're pulling a lot of amps through there, so it has to be very fat. Very girthy, if you will. Otherwise, they would heat up and start on fire. So, you don't want that. So these cables are very, very taut. I do like this as far as the battery level, but I do like this better. There is the Oupes. I thought it was the Mega 2. I think it's the Mega 2 and Mega 3 and the Mega 5 that actually have on the batteries a percentage. I could be wrong with that. I could be thinking of another company or another battery. I thought it was the Mega 2 batteries, but it has actual percentage on there, and I like that better because the problem with these is it could be anywhere between this and that. Well, this tells you exactly where it should be, so that's a plus if you're out and about and camping or something like that. I do like the wheels on there though, because that makes that system a lot easier to move around. It does have nice little stands. This is an actual plus now. These little stands are a plus because I like the airflow underneath the system. If something is too close to the ground, the heat can build up from whatever you have it sitting on, whether it's concrete, wood, or whatever. Like say you're outside using this outside in a very hot day. Now I would have it in the shade, but if you had to have it on asphalt or concrete, that heat is significant, right, from the sun, and it just stays there and radiates, and that heat radiates right up into the system. So if you can have a little bit of space for airflow, I like that. I think that's a plus. I think that's definitely a plus. Notice how there's no airflow here. There's no space between the systems. Let's keep going here. 30. Okay, tax credit, guys. Every other picture is a tax credit. Look at this. Every single other picture. What a waste of pictures here, guys. I think they're advertising the tax credit. Now, I believe that's ending this year, guys. We didn't take advantage of that. 30% of what you buy, as long as you use it to, affect your power, your electric bill, and stuff like that. But yeah, we didn't jump on that bandwagon. We didn't do it. All right, so that's all the pictures, guys. So very, very simplistic, plain-looking system. However, I do like the all-black look. I like the rigid handles. They look very, very strong. It's not like they have like a loop up here, because remember, this is probably 80 pounds, probably more. I would say this is probably close to 100 pounds with all the inverters and the wheels. And remember, there's a metal handle probably, or aluminum handle that runs in here. Extra legs, these little feet. I mean, that adds up a lot. All right, so let's see. Let's highlight it here. We have the 4.6 kilowatt hours. I'm going to use the old-fashioned numbers. It's 4,600 watt hours in this system, guys, and expandable up to 41,400 watt hours. So just here over 41,000 watt hours for a complete system. How many batteries? Boy, see, that's why I like round numbers, guys. Let's see, what did that be, like 8 batteries? Let's see what that is. So you go 41.4, and then I think each one is 4,600. So let's just get an average of how many batteries that would be. 9. Okay, so that's probably 8 batteries expansion, and then this one is 1. So 9 batteries total, including the system. Prepared for 1 to 7 days of reliable home backup power. Now, 41,000 watt hours. Of what I learned, the average house in America, North America, uses approximately 15,000 watt hours a day. So 41, I'd be looking at 2.5 days, depending on what you use it for, of course. But I'm just using the average household numbers that I found online, and it was about 15,000 per day. So, if you had a bad situation and you pulled that down to 5,000 or 6,000 per day, and then you can kind of make that obviously, stretch a week if you went to the essentials of what you need and turned off what you didn't need. Like no extra cappuccino or coffee on the days where the power is out. You know what I mean? Because that's a lot of power you're burning at 1,500 watts. Or if you need a heater, that uses a lot of power. The one thing that solar has not really replaced yet, unless you get a monster system, is heat, cooking. It's so power and cooling. ACs. It is so power consumptive. I don't even know if that's a word. Consumption, power hungry. It takes an immense amount of power. Just to give you guys a quick idea, if you're new at solar, let's say I have a 450 watt hour, very small 5,000 BTU air conditioner for this workshop, and it works perfect for what I need. Now, obviously, that's not going to work for your whole house or your whole business or whatever you're going to put it in, right? So you need a couple of them. But I just want to give you an idea of what we burn on a daily basis. So Normally, a AC is not on all the time. However, the smaller units are usually on most of the time. So we're going to take 450 and times that by 24 hours. See that, guys? Almost 11 kilowatt hours or 11,000 watt hours of power every single day. That is a lot of power. So imagine those solar panels you're putting up, and you're like, I got 400 watts of solar panel, and then you do the math. You go, I need more. So this stuff adds up so quick. Heating, cooling, and cooking, and obviously water heating and things like that. It is a monstrous amount of power. So until we get maybe some nuclear power stations, which I don't think will ever happen, it's going to take a ton of batteries to replace what you're doing with your gas in your home or your business or workshop or whatever. Now the fan. Now this is one thing you can rig up, and I recommend a Sparky, which is a code word for electrician. That's like a nickname for an electrician on job sites. A Sparky will and can hook up the fan to your system to a power station, and that way you save a lot of energy on the fan, because the fans are very power hungry in home heating. Up to like 600 watts sometimes. It's crazy because they get those huge fans that kick around on buildings. So it could be anywhere between 100 watts probably all the way up to like 600 I've seen. So I don't even know what mine uses, because we have gas on the hot water heater, and gas on the regular heater, and gas on the dryer. So at home we have gas on the same three things actually. So, but they're two different units, so they could use different amount of power. And that way, now here's this is positive now. If the power goes out, and you have your gas furnace hooked to your solar power system like one of these, you could actually turn on, because remember, gas flows all the time, right? You'd have to actually break the pipes for the gas and stuff flowing. So your gas will flow even in emergency for the most of the time, and now you can have heating. So even though it is very power hungry, you can have heating in a power outage like that if you re-rig your system. But make sure you go through an electrician, guys. It's very dangerous. You mess around and start a fire or something like that. Okay, so you have high power dual voltage. Now this is where the system shines. No system that I've seen, or maybe there was one other one. Anyway, there's very few systems, I believe, that have both 120 volt and 240 volt options, so that way you can use either one depending on what you need. So that's a huge plus if you want to, you take this to a job site, roll it into the job site, show the boys on a job site, hey, look at this bad boy I got. And you fire up some big drills and some circle cutters, concrete cutters, all those big stuff, right? The press drills, and you go, yeah, I did that off a box that I rolled in here. And you couldn't even hear it because it's all batteries. So I mean, that's impressive. Here you go, you got out of one unit 240 boost, let's see, 7,200 watts you could pull out of there, and 3,600 watt dual voltage keeps the AC central dryers, water pumps, and essential appliances running smoothly. Oh, another thing I thought about is a sub pump. Guys, we don't have any, but I'll tell you what, I've heard stories, the sub pumps, the things that pump the water out of the basements and stuff, power hungry like you wouldn't believe. The amps that those things can draw at startup is large for a small little device like that. But boy, they could just suck the power right out of your power station for sure. Simple plug and play, no complex setup, just connect it and immediately power your essentials. Now see, that's where portable solar power shines. This is why you buy a system like this. You buy one solar panel and you buy one TV, and you just plug them in and you're done. You don't need an electrician. You don't need fancy setup charts and all this stuff and safety procedures. Guys, this is an all-in-one system, and that's why I like this much, much better than the old style solar where you have to, you buy the inverter, you buy the MPPT control, you buy the battery, you buy the all-in-one AC inverter, you buy all this stuff separate, and then you got to fuse it all together. This is done for you. It's done. It's a box. You buy it, you open it, you use it. Awesome, awesome. That's why we have like 35 of these things here. Maybe more. I think we got another one coming. But we love them, guys. Solar has changed my life 100%. It's not for everybody, I'll be honest. But man, it has changed my life for sure. The biggest thing, if I can ramble for a second, guys, is it made me more aware of the power that I use and waste. So that is huge. You know when you're a kid and you got a handful of quarters in the arcade, and your mom or dad drops you off and say, okay, you can stay there all day, and you burn through all your quarters in the first hour, and then you stand around staring at the wall because you're bored out of your mind. That's the same with power. If you don't learn to balance that and regulate your usage, and that's what solar does. You learn to do that the old-fashioned way. Hey, kid, you only got 10 quarters. You better use 1 per hour or 2 per hour, or you're going to be standing around watching other people enjoy, the games and you can't play. So that's what taught, it kind of reminded me. When you're a kid, you stand in the refrigerator and it's wide open and you're staring at the, the butter and the cheese and the watermelon and the soda pop. You're just staring at stuff. And then your dad comes and goes, what are you doing? Close the fridge. You're wasting power. Or, the old-fashioned thing where he'd come up behind you and go, smack in the back of the head. What, are you born in a barn? Because you're standing there with the front door open talking to your friend while the air conditioning's on or something like that, or the heat's on. Now as you get older, that reminds you, and these systems remind you of that, hey, this stuff isn't cheap, and it's tough to replace sometimes. So let's be a little bit more aware of the power that we're using and wasting. The wasting is the bad one. You could use the power if you need it, but wasting, boy, that's just a bad idea. All right, let's keep going here. 3 fast ways to charge. 240 volts. Now this is a big thing, guys. To be able to charge a system at 240 volts is a monster amount of power. So there are some systems, one that we have that runs a 120 30 amp cable, which is the same amount of power approximately. But the problem is when you up the voltage, the amps drop. So the power of the cable doesn't get as hot and as dangerous. So that's a big thing. If you look at those Teslas out there, they have these monster amount of powers going. You got Teslas out there with 100,000 watt hours of power in the battery, or even more. I mean, to me, that's absurd. But then when you look at how much power consumption those things can use, and then you can hit the gas pedal and go 0 to 60 in like 3 to 5 seconds, I mean, your chest goes back in the seat, and you have to pick your heart up from the back seat and put it back in. I mean, it's amazing what battery power can do over gasoline. So I think gasoline is still king, though. I don't think that batteries have excuse me, have replaced gasoline yet, or petrol or fuel, but believe me, it's getting there. It's getting there. Okay, so you can recharge it in 84 minutes. So that's 4,600 watt hours of power that you can charge in about an hour and a half. That is really getting good. And then see here, you can do 120 volt at 1,800. So that gives you an opportunity to have both. You can do 120 volts at 18 plus DC at 1,200. I don't know if you can run 240 and solar. That's a question. If you guys know, please leave me a comment. I'd like to learn about the system too. Still, that's a lot of power. That's 3,000 watts of power here. So I think what's the inverter on here? I'm gonna guess probably 3,600. Okay, so that would max it out anyway on the inverter. So 3,600 watt inverter. But then you have the boost. So maybe that's the what is it called? The Blue Eddy calls it powerlifting, surge power. So maybe it goes up to that here. Standalone 120 and 240 output, so you could put them out at the same time. Now that is cool with independent circuit design. So that means that you could take the 240 and run a sub pump or something big like that off of that, a heater, just induction stove, whatever's 240, and you can use your other stuff like your laptop, your TV, and the rest on 120 at the same time. That's a plus, because back in the days you had to have 2 different systems, 2 different circuits. Everything is in one now. That's what I mean. This stuff has changed, completely changed my life. I hope solar has been as good to you guys, because I've learned a lot and really enjoyed solar a lot. It's a kid in the candy store. Adjustable 12 to 24 volt XT90 DC output. Very cool. The 24 volt comes in handy if you want to use heavy stuff DC. Think of like really big diesel heaters. A lot of diesel heaters run off 12 volts, but some are multi-voltage. So if you look at the diesel heaters that are in, what do they call it? The trucking industry, semis. I couldn't remember the word semi. Guys, they can run 24 volts on their diesel heaters, and man, that can put out some heat with low amps, and that is cool because literally, if you have that on, you have to open windows. I was amazed of how powerful and strong and hot diesel heaters are. Unbelievable. I wish I knew about them years ago. And I guess they've been around for a long time. I just learned about them maybe a year or two ago. High power devices like 3D printers, e-scooters, drones, and RC gear. So that way, if you really want to hurry up and charge your DJI drone or your RC car, and you can get it back out on the road, and let's have some fun today and enjoy the day. 20 millisecond EPS backup. Guys, I would say, I don't know, and this is just my opinion, I would say that's a little bit high. I would have liked to see 10, right? And the reason for that is 10 is good for very sensitive equipment. 20 seems to be very average nowadays, 20 or under. But I was really hoping to see that down in the 10, only because, guys, this is a brand new machine now. We should be aiming, better, stronger, and faster. But yeah, a 20 millisecond switch over time, it's a little slow. So I wouldn't put anything that's an essential product on here. This is all just my opinion now. But I would like to have seen 10 millisecond switch over time. Let me know what you think. If you think 20 is good enough, but if I were to take this box to a concert and hook up a mainframe full of speakers and microphones and mixers and amps and everything, I want quick 10 millisecond switch over, because I don't want my stuff to either turn off or burn out. You know what I mean? And when you go to a concert, you're talking 100,000 to possibly millions of dollars of electronic equipment. Also for like medical stuff, that quick switchover is very important. Here, smarter app with scheduled tasks, backup mode, night mode, auto connect mode, discharge, and I lost it. Where'd it go? There it goes. I clicked the button on accident, guys. And remote control Guardian 6000 connected to 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. This is important here, guys, because a lot of people have 5 gigahertz routers. Okay, I've been in computers a long time, as I said. So 5 gigahertz is not compatible with 2.4 in a lot of systems. So you have to be able to switch it back to 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. And if you can't, you can't access the Wi-Fi. If I could have a drink of soda pop real quick here. I ramble my voice out of my head. And that way, in order to use that app, you got to have access to the 2.4 gigahertz. That was a big thing with Pecron, guys. It doesn't work on 5 gigahertz. So people had to either switch or use other settings to get the app. And that made a lot of people, frustrated, me included, because I'm not a fan of apps at all. So I like touchscreens. You give me a touchscreen on this bad boy, hopefully this is a touchscreen, I'm in heaven right there. All right, so let's keep going here. Here's 30-day returns without any fees, no shipping fee, no stocking fee. Now that is a plus. Other companies don't do that. Shipping this back would cost you up to $300 depending where you take it. That's maybe more. That's a lot of money, guys. Here's up to $818 free gift. Wow. I wish you told me what it was. That's a lot. Guys, that's almost $1,000 of free gift. I wonder what the gift is. Here, last month. Okay, so now that's what I was talking about. You get up to $1,028 tax rebate. That's up to, okay? This is the last month that you're going to have for this tax rebate, I believe. I think it's ending in December. So if you want to take advantage of that, look into that. Like we didn't take advantage of it. I don't know. We just didn't. We just didn't. 5 times 24 service. So I believe this is 5 days. They're open 24 hours a day, if that's what that means. Maybe Monday through Friday, like business hours. Here's a question mark. Let's see what it says. There you go. There you go. Sunday to Friday. Yep. So 24 hours a day, Sunday through Friday. So they're closed Saturday. Okay. And then half of Friday and half of Sunday. So 5 plus 1 year warranty. That's nice. That's a long warranty, guys. I saw some companies actually have a 10-year warranty. Now that's fantastic because that's the average lifespan to 80% for lithium iron phosphate batteries, which are the new ones. Lithium ion was less than that because the cycles run out really quick. 180-day price match. Now this is cool. If they hold to this, this is positive because if for some reason, like guys, you remember those charts that we do here? If you buy it and you go, oh, hey, hold on a minute here. I bought it at 180. Now it's on sale for 160. Remember, this is 6 months here, guys. So within that 6-month period, say, I want a refund here. That's positive, right? That's a positive thing. And then up to 38% limited time launch savings. So I don't know what this is going to go up to. This is the first time that this system is out. Shipping from U.S. warehouse. That means they bring it in the country and it's already here. So you're not shipping from China, you're getting it from here. It says only 877 left, 1,000 units. So I assume they had 1,000 units and they have 877. So they sold, 123 units already. If this, here's the units. So if this number is correct still. Shipping is free. Delivery time is January of 2025. So you're looking at about a 30 to 45 day wait on the system. Who knows what day in January. Oh, wait, I take that back. This is first batch, second batch. Okay, so this is probably ready to go, and then the second batch is going to be January. Oh, I didn't see that there's 2. I missed that. Here, 3 to 7 days. Okay, so a week. Very cool, very cool. Here's the eligible for the 30%. If you get it before December 31st, so that's coming out. So their first batch was 1,000 units, and their second batch is 1,000 units. All right, so let's see. Now let's check these again. This one, I would have liked to see this faster, guys. I really would. 10 milliseconds. I would have. I don't know. That's just me. It's my opinion, guys. Let me know what you think. I would have liked to see this down to 10, only because the newer stuff should be better, faster, right? That's the concept of the newer stuff. 100% charging at 84 minutes. That's huge. Obviously, that does not include the batteries. So if you add batteries on there, you have to put that in your mathematical equation for your computation of how many hours and minutes it's going to take to max out your full system. So obviously, that depends on how many batteries you got. Here's up to 41.4 kilowatt hours. Guys, these pictures always kind of make me chuckle. So did you ever notice that all these companies, all of them, they always have a family sitting around this power station. The power's out, everything's on, yet nothing is plugged into the power station. I always found that funny. Because it's like you should have cords running to this thing from the whole house, right? If it's really a power outage, this thing is not doing anything. But that's AI in pictures for you. Here's your 10-year lifespan. As you can see, that you get most of that under warranty. Some companies give you that 10-year warranty. I thought maybe it was Blue Eddy. I can't remember. Maybe RUIXU. I can't remember, guys. But I know that I saw that somewhere. Here's your dual voltage. That's big. That's a big thing, guys. This is a first for me. See, here's a 240 volt dryer, and then here's a 120 volt. I think that's a freezer fridge. So use them both at the same time. Yes, please. That's awesome. Where you don't have to switch, excuse me, switch a circuit or change something or reconfigure something. You just turn it on. You're done. I think that's cool. I think that's a big plus for power stations. Take it anywhere as long as you can carry 100 pounds on wheels. Guys, remember, this is the thing that people overlook. You can roll this around, but when you get to where you got to go, you still have to pick it up and put it in the car, put it in the RV, put it in the house. So you still got to be able to pick it up. Don't rely on these little tires, because those are tough to get upstairs, guys. Those are very small tires on there. little wheels. They're not even tires, they're wheels. They're not going to get upstairs very easy. Smart app control. We've used ours for our Mega 2. It does work. However, I'm not a fan of apps. I don't care how good they work. The one thing I have to say about apps is I do like Blue Yeti's version, and I believe Allpowers has one, where it's 100% Bluetooth if you want. 100%. No sign up, no email, no nothing, no registration. You turn it on, use your phone, you're done. It's a closed circuit just in the vicinity of maybe 20 feet or so. I like that. If someone were to get in your system, you'd obviously see someone standing within 20 feet of your system. It's the obvious. Someone 6 feet tall, you could see them. So it's hard to hop in someone's system, from 8 miles away, unless you're on Wi-Fi. So I'm not a fan of the Wi-Fi thing. 12 to 24, we saw that already. That's a DC. Now DC 90, guys, that's nothing to joke at. That is a monster port. That is a really big port, and you can bring a lot of power out that port. Easy setup. So if you want to do a transfer switch or an inlet box, say you have an RV or an inlet for the house, or whatever you're running, always do yourself a favor. Contact a Sparky, an electrician, and make sure you're hooking this stuff up right, guys. Electricity is not something you want to play around with. It is dangerous as well as it is deadly. There's many reports of fires and problems and burns and shocks and all. Electricity is nothing to play with. Here's your saving bill. Obviously, now this is subjective to obviously what you use, right? So this number I don't really pay much attention to. If you're not heavy on electric use, obviously you're not going to save that much, right? So that's the difference. 3 ways to charge, we saw that. So you can do AC, solar, AC, and solar. So I wonder if you could do the 240 and the excuse me, AC and the solar from the 240. I'd like to know about that. It said 120, but I don't know if you can do that. Here's your dual voltage. Obviously, we went over that already. So here you got a little pump for water, which is a 240. Here's a 240 dryer, and then here's that fridge already. Nice bigger picture so you can actually see. Very cool. Very cool. Power your whole home effortless. And then there you go again. So you have everything. This is all 110 or 120 stuff, and then you could run your bigger stuff if you needed to. Guys, I don't have a dishwasher, never did. I'm not that fancy. Are these 240 or are they 110, or do they come in both? If you can let me know, I appreciate it. Look at the surge, guys. 9,000. All right, we got some big power coming out here. 6,000 continuous power and 7,200 boost output. The Guardian 6000 effortlessly runs space heaters, refrigerators, and kitchen appliances, microwave blenders simultaneously. I can never say that. Simultaneously. Ensuring warmth, fresh food, and hot meals, even in winter blackouts. Sounds good to me. All right, now here, okay, this is your full system, guys. So it kind of looks very space agey. It's kind of different and new. What's missing here is the cables. I would like to see how they're running the cables cleanly, because remember, those cables take up a lot of room. So it's not going to look this clean with all the cables dangling everywhere. I know that because I have a system where I really dislike the cables. They stick out. But it was one of the first ones we bought, and they were going to make a right angle cables for it, and then they never did. I was very disappointed with that. 100% lightning fast recharging in 84 minutes. All right, look at this. It's all space agey. Let's see here. 3 ways to charge. All right, we're getting repetitive here. Same stuff here. I'm going to run down to the specs because I can't wait to see that. Oh, now here's the ports here. Let's go over these real quick. So here you have a NEMA 5-20R times 4. So I believe that is up here. These are the 4. There are different sections here. I wonder what that's for. Here's a NEMA L14-30. So that is a 30 amp. These are 20 amps up here. And this is a 30 amp. Excuse me. Boy, it's getting cold out there, guys. I always cough in the cold. Here is a NEMA 1450 amp. Now, this is the big bad boy on the block right here. This is some monster power coming out of this port. And you can see just by the prongs here how thick they are. There is some amperage coming out of that, boy. I'll tell you what. This is a 20 amp NEMA 6-20R. Now, what is it, guys? If you know, what's the difference between this and these? Is there a difference? I'm assuming, because remember, it has that sideways one. Um, yeah, I wonder what that's for. I was never good as far as the ports. I always have to research the ports every time because I don't use a lot of this. All these four are new, but I like them because all four of these are different. And when you have something different, that means more opportunities, more options to hook up different stuff in different configurations. So that's a plus. And now this one I'm real familiar with. This is the NEMA TT 30 amp RB plug. So this is for transferring in or out power to your RV. So very, very cool. Oh, wait. Here's a DC out. So let's do this again here, guys. So now we have an XT60 12 to 24 volt selector, and that's what that selector switch is for then. That is a monster plug. I expected an XT60 on here. XT90 is really nice. And then, oh, look at this here. Now, I'm very excited about this, guys. Up to 140 watts USB-C. Wonderful. Everyone that I have that I love is a 100 watt output. I'll take 140 like that. Seriously. I believe they go up to 240 watts out at a higher voltage. But very cool to see a higher wattage USB-C. That's very cool because this is the universal. Everyone's using C now. You will have older stuff where it's USB-A or other stuff like that, or cigarette lighter, but USB-C is so darn simple. The cable, you can roll it up, put it in your pocket, and forget it's there. That's how small it is, and it can bring out 140 watts. You can run a lot of stuff on that. You could charge a lot of stuff on 140 watts, and that would be at 20 volts, obviously. 20 volts at 5 amps is the newest protocol, but this is actually higher. I'm going to have to find out what the protocol is for that, because that would have to bump it up. Maybe it's maybe they upped the amps or they upped the voltage. I'm assuming they went maybe, I don't know, 30 volts? I don't know. I have to research that. 25, 27? I got to research that. Here's the USB 2As. These are quick charge 3s I saw in there. That's QC 3.0s. That's 18 watts, respectfully. That way you can charge your stuff pretty quick if you have the old style phones or what's it called, headphones or earbuds or drone batteries and things like that. So you can still get a decent amount of power out of these, but this USB-C, that's the moneymaker right there. I'd like to see 2 of those on this system, but I'm happy with the one because of the high amount of power. To give you a prime example, if you and your spouse and you both have your phones and you want to charge it, long story short, the wife is going to get the USB-C and you're going to be stuck with the USB-A. I'm pretty sure that's the same in every household. I know it is here. The cigarette output, guys, we don't use these anymore. I always call them cigarette outputs. Some people call them marine ports or utility port. That's a cigarette lighter, guys. Ever since I was a kid and we'd ride in the car and, Pops would, poke the little button and the cigarette thing would pop out. I don't think you can use it as a cigarette lighter anymore, but it is a cigarette port. I don't think I'll ever change that. Here, once again, you're right. These are these pictures that make me laugh, guys. You have an entire house that's, powered up, but yet you have nothing. You got one crazy cable going all the way to this thing, and then nothing else. So I don't know if that is going into a system, but they have it right in the way of the picture here. What is this? Rolling outages. There. See the picture once again, guys. Nothing's hooked up. You got this crazy big cable coming from the wall. Off grid. Now this is where this stuff shines. I cannot emphasize this enough, guys. This is why it has changed my life completely. We used to run Honda EU 2000i generators. They are monster fantastic generators. They put out 1600 rated watts all day long, and you could burn gas gallon after gallon after gallon. The problem with generators, and this is why it's changed so much, some areas, if not most, you need permits, right? You have to have gasoline, which means you have to store it. You can't put it in the sun. It gets too hot, gets dangerous, right? You have to make sure, this is a big one, you have to make sure you leave the breather valve open, right? A lot of people forget to do that. If you don't do that, you'll either choke the system or boom. Not a good response answer for any of those. You have carbon monoxide poisoning, so you can't run it inside a building or a vehicle or nothing like that. Like, there's so many negatives when it comes down to gas, petrol, or any kind of a fuel, like kerosene or anything like that. Even something as simple as propane. You gotta have that fresh air, otherwise it's a bad day, right? It can be disastrous. But these things, this is where it shines. We put this, not this one, but this device, like Pecron and Blue. We got tons of them. We could pick it up, throw it in a van, a car, an RV, and run it in the same 5, 6, 10-foot area, and no worries. There's no carbon dioxide. You don't have to worry about waking up and not being able to breathe because all the air's gone, the oxygen. You don't have to get a carbon dioxide meter. Guys, this is all combined into this little box, and you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And like I said, it was live and die with these generators. I used them at every outdoor event that we did in the summer, and they were fantastic. However, that has all changed in the last 2 years to all 100% solar. So it has personally changed my life. I hope that it's changed yours too. Not to mention, if you take this to a job site and you roll this in there and it doesn't make any noise, no noise, no one knows you have it, right? So that's a positive. Here's the RV. Now, that's what I was just saying. You can put this anywhere. Also, you could put it, like, see how close they are? Now, the one thing I recommend, even though it's probably safe, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a person that works in a laboratory, and I don't have a white coat like Hobotech, because he's very intelligent. So, this stuff gives off what's called EMF. It's electromagnetic frequency. That can affect your body. It can affect your brain and all that stuff, and your thinking and your attitude, all kinds of stuff, I guess. So, I wouldn't recommend sitting that close to it. However, you could if you had to, emergencies. But, try to stay 5, 6 feet away. Guys, if you look at, if someone makes a phone call on their cell phone, and the first thing they do is put it right to their head, think of the damage that will do long term, putting an electromagnetic frequency device directly to your brain. Remember, we are creatures of electroids, if you will, if that's even the proper description of it. Our brain is electric, right? It's electronic. It sends these signals, and they're all electric, and there's a certain frequency and hertz and all that. That gets real detailed. I don't know anything about it, but that can be affected by EMF. So if you do have problems, some people get headaches from that. A lot of EMF, they get headaches. So it's something to consider. Like this, I would put over here under the table and run extension cord. Safer, guys, safer. Now, you can be next to it. I have been. But like I said, you don't want to do it on a constant basis. The same as you don't want to use your cell phone 20 hours a day, because it's probably going to be bad. It probably would be bad. I'm not a scientist, like I said, but it's probably going to be bad. Here's your manual transfer switch here. And basically what that does is when it needs it, it pulls this, and you can switch it, and then it goes to the grid, and then you can switch it to go to the batteries. Very neat. Have an electrician install that, guys, or at least help you with that, because it can be very dangerous. Now this is very cool. 45 decibels under 3,000 watts. That is low. To give you an idea, I'm going to give you an idea of hopefully you have your headphones on. This is 45 watts. That whisper is equivalent to about 45 watts. As a sound guy, I know my decibels very well. If you were in a library, that's about 45 watts or even less sometimes. A whisper is like, up to about 55 decibels or so. So this, I don't know how far away, of course, but under 45, that's a very quiet system, guys. 30% lower than gas generator. Now, I know that the Honda EU 2000i that we had, and like I said, I would promote that. I think I sold it finally. But I would have no problem using them anywhere. Pure sine wave inverter, like I said, they'll run like they're like tanks, guys. But this solar stuff is taking over for me. But I would use it again, absolutely, without a heartbeat. Honda and Yamaha, real good systems. Here's a breakdown of the inside of this thing. These cells, guys, don't take it for granted. Those little battery tubes things, those are heavy as a dog. So this system, I'm waiting to see the weight. I'm gonna guess 105 pounds. Let's see, 102, 105 pounds, something like that. But these little battery cells are deceiving. They're very heavy, guys. Now this is how I would use it. See how he's 4 or 5 feet away from it? That's a perfect way to use these. And then just run extension cord or your stuff to the power station, and better. I'm not a fan of this, guys. I'm not a fan of this. I would like to see that down to 20 milliseconds, only for very sensitive equipment. And, you know, we're talking about CPAPs here. So if you have trouble, you know, losing, I have a friend that has this, and he like wakes up and he can't breathe. So the CPAP machine makes him breathe when he goes to sleep. A horrible thing to have to deal with, guys. But I would like to see that, because when it comes to your health, that's not a joke, man. That is not a joke. Knock on wood, every day you're healthy out there. Power your home directly with one port. There you go. In and out. Done. One cable, one port. Now notice that you don't need an electrician for all this stuff. If you had this box already, you roll this home, you plug it in, you're done. How simple is that? Compared to what it used to be, holy crap. You got to get permits, and you got to get this. And it's so much stuff. And then notice, here's your port. Oh, I like how that changes. Look at this, guys. Bam, bam, bam. This is a port where you can just power right into your house or your dwelling or your RV or whatever. So look at how simple. One cable and you're done. Man, who was that guy on TV, like, set it and forget it? That's it. Was it Billy Mays Hayes or whatever his name was? He was always so hyper at like 3 o'clock in the morning, selling you all kinds of stuff. That's what this is, guys. It's literally set it, plug it in, and forget it, walk away. You're done. That's it. You know, and then you hook up your solar if you want that too. But simple things. Here's all your app control. You can look through that if you want. It obviously goes this way, lots more. Just to give you an idea, just a quick view of the screens. I think that's the end. Okay, that's the end. Yeah, we do use it for the Oupes Mega 2, but like I said, I highly prefer a touchscrreen. A touchscreen, sold. I'll take it. I love touchscreens. There's your battery cells. It says built with EV grade lithium iron phosphate cells. Guardian 6000. Excuse me, hold on. All right. Sorry about that, guys. This cold weather tears up my throat and makes me always cough and sneeze and stuff. Hopefully you guys are enjoying warm hot coffee or hot cocoa, in my opinion, to deal with this cold. But boy, it tears up your throat. And then I ramble so much, so that's like a twofer. Okay, so lasts longer than typical power stations, and that's because it has more battery cells in it and more watt hours. Even after 4,000 full charge cycles, it retains 80%. Now that is a plus, and I'll tell you why. Most lithium iron phosphate batteries that I've researched usually go about 3,500 cycles to 80%. This one says it's 4,000. Guys, that's a lot. 500 more cycles is a lot, and I'll show you what I mean by that. 3,500 cycles, okay, divided by 365, which is 1 year, obviously. That gives you approximately 9.6 years before those batteries start dropping down to 80%. Now, that doesn't mean you just pick it up and throw it in the garbage. That just means if you have a 10,000 watt-hour system, you are now down to 8,000. That's it. It's like taking 20% of your trunk and throwing it away from your car. It shrinks, but it still works, right? That's what that means. Now, if you took the 4,000, not just 4,000 plus, we're going to take the 4,000, and hopefully they can stand behind that. 4,000 divided by 365 is 11 years. Guys, that's a year and a half more almost of down to 80% before it drops to 80%. So that's really cool. And you know, these batteries, like I said, they usually start to, you know, wear and tear after 10 years. So this one doesn't even drop until after 10 years according to their numbers. So this is definitely going in the right direction. Not to mention you're pulling that kind of power and wattage out of these things and the amperage. So you're beating them up pretty good. Very cool to see. Okay, that's all yip yap stuff. Here's all the now here's all the ports real quick here, guys. And here's all the specs. Okay, so here's your system here, guys. So we're looking at about 25 inches long, 16.2 inches wide, and then about 16.8 inches tall. So long, wide, and then tall here. The millimeters throw me off. When I see that, my brain just locks up. don't know if you guys are good with over the pond stuff. My brain just locks up. 4,608 watt hours to this system, up to 41.4 thousand watt hours, 41.4 kilowatt hours. That's what this stands for. If you're not sure, I had to learn that myself. 1,000 watt hours. The K is 1,000. Dual voltage, yes, 240 and 120 in one unit. This is the game changer here for a lot of people. That is a big game changer. And the size of the system is nice too. But this guys, this is the money maker right here. EV type grade lithium iron phosphate batteries, that's nice. Cycles, now this is also a game changer, that the cycles are actually getting higher. Another year and a half over traditional systems that I've researched. There could be better ones out there. I don't know. I've only seen what I've seen. You know what I mean? My solar career is very young yet. It's only about maybe 4 years. Here's your UPS and EPS. Now I know UPS. This is the uninterruptible power supply. Is this the emergency power supply, guys? What's EPS? Is that another name for the same thing? If you know, chime in. 20 milliseconds and under. I'd like to see that at 10. I don't know. It's just me. Darn, I wish that was lower. 240 volt AC output, rated power 6,000 watts, guys. That's a monster amount of power. Imagine if you had a 6,000 watt heater. Yes, please. In the middle of winter. How about fishing on the ice? You'd probably melt the ice underneath you and fall through. Boost mode is up to 7,200. I believe that is a kind of like a powerlifting mode, where it probably drops the voltage and ups the amps to achieve that. At least that's what other companies do. And then your surge is up to 9,000 watts at 50 to 60 hertz. Usually North America, guys, 60 hertz, don't change it. Don't mess with that unless you fully understand what that does and what it means. And then here's your 120 3600 watt rated inverter at 50 to 60 hertz. Once again, North America, 50 hertz. Don't change it. Pure sine wave, if guys, it's 2025. If you see anything with a box wave or a square wave, stay away from it. Get pure sine wave. It's a better, cleaner electricity wave, and that way you can have a safer box wave. Basically, it goes like this. It goes like this, and it goes boom, and then boom, and then boom. Where a pure sine wave is actually like a wave of water, like that. Very, very soft. It's not so hard, like rigid cuts on the electricity for the the AC pattern. You know what I mean? Here's your 240 AC outlets. You got. We went through all this stuff again here. These are. I'll do it one more time. One NEMA L14-30R, 120 and 120, and then you have one NEMA 14-50R. That's a 50 amp. That's a big boy on the block, guys. That is a monster port. And then you got one NEMA 6-20R. Guys, if you know the difference between that and this, I know it has that sideways port, and I always forget what that's for because I never ever use it, and I don't even think I have it. But there's one prong that's this way and one prong that's this way. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I never used it. Here's your 4 NEMA 520. That's your standard ones. XT90. That is a monster port. I'd like to see that. XT60 and up. I like to see that. Here is your USB A's, your 18 watt max. That's your quick charge 3.0s. Now this also is where the system shines. The 140 watts. I can't talk highly about that enough. If I had that, I would be happy. So I would trade my USB 100 for this one. The other thing I'd like to see, guys, and I know this doesn't affect a lot of people, but I like it. It's one of my favorite options on a power station. Is some companies have USB-C in-outies. What that means is you could take energy in and out of that port. I like that. I think it's very unique. I'm a big fan of that because you could power dump to a smaller power station through the USB-C if they have an input on their USB-C side. So I like that. I don't know. That's just me. Or you can charge this system very, very slowly at 100 watts. It's good for a backup, right? I like it. And a lot of companies they don't do that. 240 AC charging, 3600 watt max. Obviously that's the max of the inverter, I believe. Or the MPPT controller and the BMS and everything. The 120 is 18. You can't go higher than that because you need a thicker cable, otherwise you'll start that cable on fire with all those amps. 30 amps is hot. Solar charging, you got 12 to 140 volt DC. MPPT controller is 18 to 130. I wonder why they have two different, oh, DC, I'm sorry. So DC, that would be from like a generator or something, and then you have MPPT controller. This, in my opinion, I wish was a little bit higher, guys. I'd like to have seen 150 to 160 volts input, and this is the reason why. If you took 3 panels that were 50 open a piece, let's grab a calculator again. I'll take my panels as a prime example. They are 45 VOC. That's voltage open circuit or open circuit voltage. Different companies, it's the same thing, but they say it differently. 45. So if you times that by 3, you see that, guys? So that means you can't serial 3 panels of mine into this system. I think that's a drawback. I think that if that was 140, 150, I would have been happy. Now, this is just an opinion as well. What I like to do is I like to stay a little bit, about 10% at least, under the max VOC. What that does is it gives you some breathing room. It's called headroom on sound equipment. If you have a microphone and I'm pushing you up in volume, you have a little bit more that I could go to boost your volume. So in power, if a power surge comes in, and if you go over that 130, you could risk burning out that MPPT controller, right? Or the battery cells, or the BMS, or the entire system. Who knows? You could brick the entire system. So I do like that area where you have that headroom. I like that. But as I said, I couldn't serial 3 panels together of the panels that I have, and I have 10 of those panels. So I would that would affect my configuration of my serial parallel, or whatever I would hook to the system. So yeah, that's a big thing, guys. Up to 15 amps. I would have also liked to have seen that up to 20 amps input. My system has a dual 20 amp input, and this, I believe, only has 1 input for solar charging. So a little bit light for such a big system, in my opinion. 1200 watts max. So guys, I gotta be honest. Okay, so my favorite system is, if you followed the channel for a long time, is the E3600 LFP. It's not for everybody. It's perfect for what I need it for. I have on the main system 1200 watts and 1200 watts. It is 32 to 150 volts input on either port, or I could parallel them for a higher one, 40 amp input. That is a very, very decent amount of power, but it takes me a very long time to charge my system, and that's 15,000 watt hours. If you were to max out this system, hopefully you can charge through the batteries, guys. I don't know if I hope you could charge through them. I'm not sure. I haven't seen them yet. But that seems kind of low. If you had now here, let me show you what I mean here, guys. And until I see the rest of the system, this is just an educated guess. But let's say you had a 41.4, right? It was 41,400 watt hours. Now, if you divide that by 1200 watt max, maybe there's 2 solar inputs and it's not listed, or maybe there's just 1. Look at the time it would take to fill up an entire system, right? That's a long time. So let's hope there's at least 2. If there was 2, you'd have to cut this in half. So you would have, let's see, 41.4, and you divide that by 24. That's what we get on our system. But we could charge through the batteries at another, let's see, 2,400 watts. See the time, guys? 17 hours. Yeah, I got to learn more about that. Hopefully that's not all the solar charging it has, because to me, that's low. That's low. All right, so let's see. Wi-Fi 240. Yeah, I'm not happy about that. So hopefully, let's hope I'm wrong with that. Let's hope there's at least 2 ports on this system. 2.4. We talked about that. Bluetooth. I believe you have to sign in through the Wi-Fi and then use the Bluetooth to give you authorization. You got to sign up for their thing. App control, yes, obviously, because of the connectivity. Okay, so here's your weight. Oh, I was off by not much. So the weight is 111.13 pounds or 50.5 kilograms for those across the pond. I still don't know what that means. I always just double the kilograms and get an average. I'm so lost in that conversion. I've never learned it, and I don't want to, the metric thing. So 113, what did I say, 102 to 105? I was pretty close. Guys, 111 pounds is not a joke. If you have trouble picking that up, please use the wheels, use the buddy system. Yeah, because, I mean, 100 pounds plus, you could throw your back out real, and especially if you turn, you know, here's off subject. Most people that, you know, tear up their backs, they do it not by picking something up, it's the pivoting. That's what hurts your back. Actually turning side to side is what really hurts your back. So if you can maintain that center of gravity and pull that weight straight up and stay very, very straight and stiff, it's much easier. Watch a power lifter do a what is it called? I don't know what it's called. A bench lift or what? No, not a bench lift. You know when they pick the weight up off the floor. I don't weight lift. I don't weight lift, as you could see by my arms. So what is that called? A leg press or whatever it's called, where you pick it up off the ground, they pick up 500 watts and stand up with it. So notice how they do not turn. They stay very, very still because they will tear up their entire back like that. So we went through the dimensions already, guys. It's about 25 inches by 16 by about 17. Working temperature, that's traditional for lithium iron phosphate batteries, 32 to 104. No change for that. You know what I'd like to see on this system too, and I didn't see it? I would have liked to see a heater. A lot of new systems are coming out with heaters in them, and that way you can charge them in the cold. If you had this in the garage and it dropped below 32, that means you're not charging it until the battery cells warm up or you turn on the heat. So that's something I would like to see on this too. Being a new system, like I said, I want to see new features, hence the name new. Storage temperature is obviously -4 to 140. I believe you can, wait, this is the working temperature. Wow, that's not even the charging, that's the work, so, 30, oh yeah, that's right. I believe you can use lithium ion down to -4. I always remember that. That's one positive with lithium ion. That's why DeWalt Tools has not switched over, I bet, is because DeWalt and people, Milwaukee and Bosch and all those guys, they have to work in the cold. I mean, construction usually means you're building something, which means you're not in something yet. Like you're making the something, so you're out in the elements. And lithium ion, I don't think is going to be replaced anytime soon, but who knows. Pass-through charging, yes, 2400 watts. That's big. This is important, guys. So it says pass-through charging of 2400 watts. That means that a 3600 watt inverter, and you can only pass through up to 2400 watts. And that's probably a limitation of the port that you're coming from, that 20 amp port. Here's your certifications. I'm not even going to guess. I don't know what any of these mean. These are very detailed. I haven't learned that much about certifications for all the stuff yet. I like to see them, even though I don't understand what half of them are. Research that if you want to learn what that is. Warranty up to 6 years, basic 5-year warranty, and then if you register it, you get an extra year for free. So that's plus. And then here's your download manual. I will take a, let's see if I can download it now. Let's see here. And all right. Excuse me. So there it is. I'll make a video with that added to the channel, as I always do. That helps a lot of people if they want to download that and save that in a digital form rather than a book form. That way, if they don't have access to the internet, they can save it on their computer while they're at the campsite or whatever. Here's in the box. Excuse me. Here's in the box. So you got your main system, you got the charging cable, you got the Anderson to MC4 charging cable, and the user manual and the warranty card. Now, what I noticed right away here, guys, is I do not see a 240 volt charging cable. Something to consider. I don't know if you have to buy it separate. I don't know if it just uses a standard 240, but that's a heads up, guys. That's a heads up. I don't see it because you need a special cable for charging 240, right? Can't do it on 110 cable. Boy, does that look skinny for 1200 watts. It's amazing how much power you can put through a little cable if it's made well. And these are just all the frequently asked questions, the blah blah blahs, if you will. And this is a long page. At least they did a good job of getting as much information on this as they could. Remember, this is the debut of the system, and then here's your free gift accessory bag. Who knows what comes in that? Maybe, I wish they had a picture of what you get, but maybe that's the that's the free gift. So maybe, let's hope that has the 240 charging cable in there. Otherwise, can't charge it with 240 without a cable, right? All right, guys. Well, this is for the next 29 days, 16 hours, 46 minutes, and 20 seconds. Bam! There it is, 20 seconds. It is $24.99, and I believe they said that they had, what was it, 877 systems left. Let me refresh the page and see if that's moved. All right, I don't remember where that was, guys. Right here. Okay, so there you go. So in the short time that I did this video, which is approximately 1 hour and 4 minutes, thank you for staying with me that long, there is, according to this, 868. So I believe, how much was it, guys? Boy, I forgot the total. I think it was 123. So they sold less than 10 in an hour. So at that rate, this number is going to disappear in the next, I don't know, week or so. But, all right, well, guys, if you want to check it out, the link is in the description. And let me know what you think. Is it positive? Did I do a pretty good job explaining everything about it? I don't know the certifications, and I don't claim to. I'm not a professional. All I state is my opinions, and I love talking about this stuff, guys. So here you go, 132 systems sold. There you go. So that new release live report. So even if you want to be bored one day and come and watch this, and here, watch. Let me refresh it again. Let's see if they sold another one. Survey says, bam! Look at that, guys. They sold another one. All right, let's do it one more time. It's almost kind of fun, like a video game. And 133. Okay, so they sold another one. Guys, all right, ramble on. Be safe. I'll see you next time here at Ramblin Bob Reviews. Bye, guys.